All right, everybody. Welcome to the second part of our Friday the 13th retrospective. I am Jackson, along with Paul from Tales from the Flipside. And
Hey.
hopefully, you don't notice, we're wearing the same clothes. We did record these back to back. So, thank you for coming back to this. Hopefully, you enjoyed part one, and hopefully, you'll enjoy part two. And I'm going to say more than I did. As far as the movie part two, but yeah, Paul, if you want to give your quick opinion of Friday the 13th part two.
I liked it. I think it built well on part one, and it left it open for part three more so than the first movie did. And you get some funny kills, some serious kills, a little TNA, and I thought it was good. Music score added to the movie again, and I think it adds to Jason as a character, building towards the iconic view of what he looks like.
Yeah, there's a neat bit in this regard, like with the whole shrine that he built to his mother. I like that quite a bit. Now, I'm going to give you a crack at the plot for this one. You just recently watched this, from what I understand.
Yeah, so this takes place in, correct me if I'm wrong, takes place in the same town, same area, but a camp counselor is going to open a new camp that's near the closed down, off limits Camp Crystal Lake camp.
Yep. Which they call Camp Blood, I believe, in this one.
I don't know for sure. I'll go with it. I think so. They have a nickname for it, though. Yeah. I don't know if they even mention the name Crystal Lake. I think it's maybe on the sign when they pick it up when they're on the way. But so it's a different location, basically on another part of the lake or nearby. And it's another group of camp counselors getting ready for the season and doing what camp counselors do in this series. And unfortunately, some blood is shed, and it's good.
Yeah. It is funny. It's almost the exact same movie.
Yeah.
Only you're swapping out one killer for another. Now, one thing to note about this is that while the first one didn't have Jason, it had Pamela Voorhees as the killer. This one has Jason, but he does not yet have his legendary hockey mask.
Yeah, that's one of the questions I had leading into number three is when and where he gets that. But stay tuned. I guess we'll find out.
Yeah, I'm guessing. This is honestly a guess. This is a total guess. I don't remember how he gets the hockey mask. I think he just finds it. Like, I think he just picks it up off the ground. Now, I do want you to share. You watch this with your wife, and it's amazing the star power they were able to get for the cast of this. If you could just share that story quick.
Oh, yeah, I have no idea. I'm pretty ignorant to. My wife knows so much more than me. I wish she could have joined us for these reviews, but she there was the one like extremely attractive young girl and who like never had a bra on under her shirt, and her shirt barely covered her chest. And I was like, she just jokingly said, "Oh, that's Jane Fonda." And I was like, "Oh, okay." Like, was that the draw to the movie? Like, was that the draw to number two, like a big star? And she's like, "No, it's not Jane Fonda."
Yeah. There's one girl who has like her midriff showing the whole movie. I'm assuming when you say the extremely attractive one, that's the one. Yeah. And yeah, this one definitely does. It makes sure it has the TNA. You know, Jason is known for the TNA in his movies. And yeah, this one does not disappoint in that regard. Now, my complaints on this would be that it's there's still not enough going on, but so the opening does the old school sequel thing where it assumes that the person at the movie theater either hasn't seen the movie in 10 years or has never seen the first movie. So they basically run you through the whole first movie to start this one. It's like a recap, kind of like when you start a new season of Ozark or something. You got to watch the previously on. So it starts with that. The woman who survived the first movie is back in the second. And we pick up with her a couple months later. She is in her kitchen. She opens the fridge, and there's Pamela Voorhees' head in her fridge, and then Jason kills her. So, I mean, I'm impressed with Jason's ability to track people down. I'll tell you that.
It must be high functioning, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. Jason had GPS first before anybody else did.
I thought it was a dream sequence. Just because of how it was shot, but also because of, how could he track this girl down? I wouldn't exactly move to the next county if I were her. I'd probably move across the country. But the necessary plot holes of a horror film. But I thought it was a dream sequence until late. I asked my wife. I was that annoying spouse who talked throughout the first part of the movie, but later at the camp scene, they said, yeah, the girl who survived was never seen again, or survived and then was never seen again. They didn't really say, oh, she was murdered, or that she had, disappeared from her house. They could have I think they should have explained that a little better.
Are there bodies in his shack that he has as a shrine to his mother?
There are, but I don't know if her body's in there.
I would assume that's where she is. I could be wrong.
Way to drag a person.
Well, yeah, and he also had to keep Pam's head too, because that's also returned back to the shack. But I like that. That's the stuff I like in the movie. I like the idea that he's been living out there for 5 years. Apparently it's been 5 years since the last one. And he's been living out there. And he kind of just built like a little house for himself in the middle of the woods. Yeah. Within that house is the little shrine to Jason's mother. And it's got her sweater there and the head. Basically everything that takes place in that set, I loved. I really did. Like, we get a bunch of kills. One person we didn't touch on from the first film, who's kind of a funny, like, stock archetypical character, is Ralph. He's kind of the crazy seeming guy who always is telling all the young kids, like, you're doomed. You're doomed. Right. So he shows up again in this one, does the same thing. He gets killed. He actually gets strangled with barbed wire, which was pretty fun. And the part that I really liked was when the deputy, I believe, sees Jason walking across the street with the potato sack over his head or whatever, follows him out to that little shack, comes into the room, and Jason just beats the shit out of him with like a hammer or something. He kills him.
Yeah, he takes the back end of a hammer right to the back of his head. And
yep. Right. Now, my favorite little part in this probably is there's all the counselors are kind of splitting off into couples to go have sex or whatever. And there's the one where it's the attractive girl and the guy in the wheelchair. And he's all jacked up. She's going to go get ready and come back, whatever. And he gets a machete to the face while he's in the wheelchair, and the wheelchair goes down some stairs.
Yeah, that was pretty brutal. She confirms that everything works after asking him how he's ended up in the wheelchair. But I thought maybe that character was going to survive. But he got a pretty deep cut.
Jason, for having his own deficiencies in life, he sure doesn't feel for the guy in the wheelchair. You'd think he would have a little bit more sympathy for that guy.
That's what I thought. But it makes it all the way down those stairs too. It doesn't even topple over. So it was a little far-fetched comical wheelchair scene. If you can, I think you have to laugh at some
hilarious. Oh yeah. Yeah, it's great. That's probably my favorite part of the movie. Outside of the end, we do have another main character-ish girl who is she's the helper for the guy who's running the camp. She's like the assistant who comes out there at the beginning of the movie. Now, one thing that these movies aren't strong with is there's not much character to these characters outside of Jason, I would say. So she's kind of the final girl in this one. And towards the end of the movie, she tries a brilliant trick.
Yeah.
She finds Jason's house, and she finds the throne to the mother, which has the blue sweater that Pamela wore in the first movie. She puts on the sweater, turns around, and tries to plead with Jason. And I love that scene too.
Yeah,
I really do.
Yeah, I thought that was brilliant. It's kind of like, oh, of course she trips and things like that during the chase, but it's finally a character doing what a real life person might do if they had the smarts about them in the situation. Like, okay, I'm not just going to stand here and scream while someone comes at me slowly with a knife. She does her best, and it works for a minute.
Yeah, until like she kind of veers to the right, and Jason sees the head and realizes, oh, that's not my mother, and then goes after her. I guess the problem with this movie, I would say, is that it is so much like the first one. We still have the POV thing going on, but we know that it's Jason, right? So it doesn't have that same twist at the end. I think we just know that it's Jason.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any way you would think it was anyone else, especially considering once you see the shrine, that's that type of thing. Now, we do get a few more looks at Jason throughout the middle of the movie, which was not the case in the first one with Pamela. You didn't see her up until the very end. But yeah, so do you like this one better than the first one or no?
I do, because it builds on the new main character of Jason. It gives it his history. You can almost sympathize with him a little bit, just like you could sympathize with his mom a little bit. I think I liked it because it gave you, the mask off look a few times.
It does. Yes.
And, that shows what he looks like when he grew up. And I also liked that he uses the machete that I'm assuming is that's his iconic weapon, is the machete. Am I wrong? And I think it's the same one that killed his mother.
Yes. Yeah. You can only make that assumption. That's a good catch. Yeah.
So I think that's cool. It builds on, why he is so angry and stuff like that. So I thought it was neat. The head was cool. That, he somehow got that head. They didn't say that, they found her body, his mom's body, but never recovered the head, or just like they said, they never recovered his body from the lake. But I think it slowly builds on him. The next question is, how does he get this hockey mask? Hopefully it's not just picks it up on the side of a road, but maybe.
I think that's it. I'm not 100% certain on that. I believe that's how it's going to happen, though. Now, getting ready for future episodes, part 3 was a 3D movie. So I'm assuming watching it not in 3D is going to be a chore. Yeah, it was Friday the 13th 3D, I believe, was the name of the movie, technically, when it came out.
What year?
Like mid 80s. I think it was still like the blue and red paper, 3D glasses, so I don't know if it was certain parts of it, but I'm assuming when we talk about that one, whenever we get to that, that's going to be part of the conversation. I'm sure there's a bunch of scenes where it's like he stabs straight at the camera. So that should be cheesy fun. Now at the end of this, we know the girl died, right? Because deformed Jason reaches through the window and grabs her, right?
Yeah, but then she does not die. So it's kind of, you're right. It really mimics the first one. So everything's fine. They're in that cabin, and her and the last remaining guy, her boyfriend, and then Jason jumps through the window and grabs her, but then she wakes up on the stretcher.
That's right.
And then she's like, "Where's Paul?" I think was his name.
Okay.
And they never answer where Paul is.
How would you guess his name was Paul? How did you remember that?
I just, good memory. Good memory.
Okay. Now that just brought up another thing, because when they get back to the house, the dog is there, right?
Oh yeah.
Now we saw a dog earlier that we assumed was the dog that the hot girl was looking for. And Jason, we assumed, killed it, right?
Yeah.
But is that the dog that she was looking for, or is that just another dog?
I don't know. I have to assume that the dog that was at the end was her dog actually finally coming back, and the one that was killed was just a random dog, I guess. I mean, maybe they just threw it in there to either they planned it or they didn't. I don't know.
I feel like Jason wouldn't kill a dog, which I think is interesting, because the dog, we do see the dog smell around and come up to Jason, and then it cuts away, right? And then like a scene or two later, we see the dead dog who the two the kids who went to see Camp Crystal Lake run into when the cops catch him or whatever. So I like the idea that Jason he wouldn't kill a dog because the dog's innocent, right?
Now I want to see if in future movies he kills an animal.
I'm trying to remember.
The body they find wasn't an old dog carcass.
No,
so I don't know. That's a little like horror movie plot hole. I guess I got to let go.
Yeah, see, I don't know if it is one. I think that it was purposeful. Terrible. Doesn't make much sense. But I think a wild animal killed that dog. But hopes for the next movie. What do you think? What's there left for Jason to do? What kind of lore can they build on?
Just the mask, I guess, is really the only looming question. And then I don't know where they go from here. Do they discover she survives, so he can't probably live in his shack anymore. So he has to find a new home. And then how he gets the hockey mask, and what does he do with his mom's head? I wonder if his mom's head plays any part in the future movies. Assuming he took it with him, is the shrine an ongoing thing or not?
Yeah, I love the shrine. I really do. I think it just really makes sense. I know. I believe he kind of hears her speaking to him. Like she kind of like had that moment in the first one. She's like, "Kill him, mommy," and she's here all creepily talking. Mm-hmm. So I think that kind of plays out. I'm hoping just for more backstory on Jason. The Jason movie I know best is Freddy versus Jason. So
I remember hearing that one wasn't the greatest when it came out.
I think it's a blast, but I know it was more of a Freddy movie than a Jason movie in that Freddy's got a lot more character. He can talk more. And I think some of the Jason fans were kind of upset, thought there's more to Jason than was presented in the movie, which is kind of that he's just a big dumb oaf who Freddy sticks on people.
Is it him and Halloween where they never speak?
Correct.
And then I meant to ask your last video, review, if you're a big Freddy fan, what made you pick the Friday the 13th series then?
Yeah. So I picked this first off because I've never really made it a point to sit and watch all these. I've seen bits, or maybe I've even seen all these movies, but they've always been so detached from each other that I've never cohesively, made it a point to watch through them all.
Yeah.
Also, this summer, pending COVID ending the world, there is in Chicago, there's a Flashback horror festival, which is this year they're doing I believe it's Friday the 13th, part 4, the final chapter reunion. So I figured, you know what, if there's going to be a bunch of cast members from different Friday the 13th movies, I know Kane Hodder's supposed to be there. He plays Jason in the later movies. That I should probably see them before I go, because it'd be more fun to meet those people after seeing the movies.
How far of a drive is that for you?
That's like 2.5 hours and 15 minutes. But
gosh darn it. I'm going to remember after we end the stream what I was just about to say. I don't know.
I mean, we could just zoom in on you, just put the camera on you and let you think live on camera.
It was something good, and I totally lost it. I don't know.
But yeah, I guess unless, Paul, you have anything else to say, what's your grade on this one?
I think it was better. I'd give it a solid B+. I mean, it's hard to get A or A+ in movies, but it was a good follow-up. Built on the character, gave some backstory, and now the next question is the hockey mask and everything else we talked about.
Yeah, and that hockey mask we have in the background right now, and we haven't even gotten to the hockey mask yet. So I like potato sack Jason, though. It's kind of creepy. I like it. I'm gonna give this one a C. If you're I want to give everything regarding the shrine and the beheaded mother an A, because I just think that's such awesome, iconography, so to speak. Like it just screams iconic to me. But the fact that the plot is pretty much the same, none of the characters outside of Jason do I have any care for whatsoever. And the fact that it Friday the 13th part 1, with all of its faults, it was the first time doing it, where if you're going to do another one, I feel like you need to beef it up a little more. So
I remembered, because you were speaking about the cast and things. I think it was for the Friday the 13th series that a local, where I live in Toledo, a local radio host was one of the extras, a dead body hanging from a tree.
You better figure that out.
I'll have to see if I can hit him up on Twitter or something. And
we have had one in the first movie. I think it was the first movie. We did have one body hanging from a tree. It might have been Ralph, though, and I feel like if it was Ralph, you would know. So
I think he was just a straight extra. I don't even know if he was a main-ish character, just a random body in a tree. I'll have to find out.
Yeah, I was going to say, well, you have homework now. But anyways, once again, Paul, thank you for taking this ride with me. I know that it's probably going to be bumpy all the way through. But yeah, where can we find you again?
Yeah, absolutely. You can find me on Monday nights around 9:30 live on YouTube and Facebook, the Tales from the Flipside podcast on the comic book speculation and investing Facebook page. And we just kind of shoot the breeze, kind of cover what we've collected since the last show as far as comics and any other knickknacks, and just kind of hang out and go from there.
Sweet. Well, hey, thank you again. I'm Jackson, and you're already here, so you know where to find me. Thanks so much for tuning in, and part 3 on its way.
Excellent.